recording. I gotta make sure this time because I feel like I've been missing more things like to do. And so now I'm like, okay, backup battery for the recorder, backup battery for the camera. Like make sure everything's plugged in, everything's on.
Didn't the camera die last time?
Yes, it did. Yep. It did die, but that's okay. We're learning, we're growing. Is this our 10th episode?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it seems so small.
I
Like
know.
it seems like we should have like 50 already.
Yeah. A very small milestone, but it feels like it's taken a lot to get here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 10 episodes means 10 weeks basically, which is quite a bit of time.
Mhm.
So we're already in March, mid-March. What day is it?
It's the beginning of March.
Oh, okay. It is the beginning of March. Okay.
It's sunny outside though.
Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah,
feels like spring.
Yeah, I know, which is so exciting. But yesterday was kind of crazy. I woke up at like 5 a.m. because there was tornado sirens going off.
That's wild. In Dallas, we didn't get that, but last night our power went off because it was so windy.
Yeah, that's what was happening all day yesterday. I think our power went out like 3 or 4 times, and it was so annoying because it would turn off and then turn back on, which I mean, I guess that's good, but I was like working on my computer, so it would just like turn on or turn off and then turn on, and then it would take forever for the Wi-Fi to go back up, and then like 5 minutes later it would just turn off again, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. It's fine though. Yeah, it was just super windy, and Hazlitt is really close to me, and they were, I guess, like building some homes over there, and the wind completely like knocked down a few houses that were like in the middle of being built.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, it was super windy.
It was very, very windy. So hopefully that doesn't happen again because it was kind of bad. But yesterday was weird too because it was like in the morning, so at 5 a.m. we woke up and it was like windy and raining and like hailing. And then I woke up again around like 8 and it looked sunny and nice outside. And then the middle of the day, it was like windy again and the sky was turning brown, and then like 2 hours go by and then it's like sunny and nice again.
I hate when the sky or like the air turns like yellow. That's so scary.
Yeah, it was the craziest day yesterday, but anyways, yeah, it was super, super weird. But oh my gosh, where do we even start? I feel like I do have a lot to talk about. Like so much has happened between Saturday and now. It's just like, I don't know, it's crazy, but I guess we can just start with the wedding that we worked.
Yeah, this episode we kind of just wanted to chit chat.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a
more relaxed,
kind of like co-work with us, or like this is what we would talk about.
So grab your coffee, grab your tea.
Yeah, so hopefully it feels like you're just chatting with us. But yeah, so I had a wedding on Saturday and it went so well.
It was so beautiful.
It was amazing. I was telling Avery after the wedding, I was like, all of my experience, everything I've been through, like was leading up to this moment. Like just because it just felt so easy. I knew what to do in every situation. Like it was just like, I wouldn't have been able to do this wedding like even a year ago, I don't think.
Wow.
Just because it just like everything I've learned and like all the knowledge I know now is just like, I don't know. But the wedding just went so well. It was a 13-hour day, I think, for me. But it honestly didn't even feel like that because the day honestly went by pretty fast for me.
It did.
I don't know how it felt for you, but I was just like, oh my gosh, it's already over. Like, I feel like they could have partied like for 2 more hours.
Yeah, I was kind of sad I left before they really started partying, and I saw all your photos like of your sneak peeks, and they looked so fun.
Miranda, the party was so fun. This was my first Greek Orthodox wedding, and the bride and their family was all Greek. And I've never been to a Greek wedding or even, I don't know. I've just like just haven't seen what it's about. And so they got married at a church and so beautiful.
It was the most beautiful church. And the fact that it was like in DFW was weird.
Yes.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was so pretty. And I think I posted like a sneak peek of the church before I posted the pictures, and literally everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, that church is so gorgeous." Like, I had so many, like, compliments about the church, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's just so pretty." There was, like, paintings all over the walls, and, like, the architecture was so cool, like, it
The
was just
ceiling
beautiful.
murals, really pretty.
Yes, it was so, so pretty, and, so at the beginning of the day, we did details, which for me takes, like, 2 hours for me to do, like, really good intentional details, and I've just learned, again, throughout all my other weddings that I can't do it in 30 minutes or less, like, I just can't, um, and I can do it, it's just not gonna be the greatest it can be, or it'll just be, like, 1 and done.
And
Like,
it's chaotic.
I can't spend I can't spend a lot of time, like, moving things around and,
Yeah.
like, just, like, taking my time with it, and one thing I've learned about myself too is just I don't like feeling stressed out before even the chaos starts, like,
Right.
I just
Like,
don't
it's
like it.
self-imposed, like
Yes, exactly. I just do not like being stressed, and so I'm very intentional with, like, how much time I give myself to get to the wedding, and I always show up to my weddings, like, even sometimes just depending on the coverage, an hour or 2 early just to do their details if they have details that they want photographed. And if they have, like, a bunch of, like, things that they do want photographed for the details, because sometimes, like, some couples don't have that much, like, they'll have, like, 1 invitation and that's it, so you don't have to spend 2 hours doing everything, but for this one, it was just, like, they did have, like, quite a bit, and it's just nice to take your time and be creative during that time because it is kind of, like, the easiest part of the day.
Mhm.
And so I just don't like stressing myself out at the beginning, and so I always show up even an hour early. Even though this was, like, a 12-hour day, just, like, based on their coverage, I made it a 13-hour day just so I had time to collect my thoughts, bring in my things, talk to people, because that really does take a long time at the beginning of the wedding too, is, like, talking to people, introducing yourself, getting to know where you are, and all of that stuff, like, it doesn't take, like, 2 minutes like we all think. It takes, like,
Right.
30 minutes
And
to
her
get
parents
settled.
were so, like, intentional and wanted to be, like, involved with everything, so,
Mhm.
you're talking to them for, like, 10 minutes alone, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and so, yeah, I just like getting to my weddings a lot earlier just to not stress myself out because I just know that that just, like I don't know. If you're stressed at the beginning, it just feels like the rest of the day is gonna be like that, and you kind of, like, take that energy into the entire day, and so
Mhm.
it feels like you're never caught up.
Can I talk about my mindset shift with details?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, so for the longest time, I never cared about details. I never wanted to shoot details. I thought that it was annoying. I just felt like with my shooting style, it wasn't important.
Mhm.
And so when people would tell me that they would show up to weddings like an hour or two before, I always just thought that was so crazy. Like, that could not be me.
Yeah.
And like, I think as you grow and you start to reach like different markets and start charging more, you have to realize that your mindset changes from I'm like a sole like vendor artist and this is my art to I'm a team player and you're working with a team of artists to carry out like the
Mhm.
vision of the day. And so I think with details, it's super important to capture them for those different vendors that you're on this team with.
Yes.
And so I think that's like the biggest mindset shift that I've had is like, no, I actually do need to be intentional about how I'm going to photograph these details. I need to set aside a specific time for them where my old thinking was like, oh, I'll just like photograph the shoes like while she's putting them on
Mhm.
instead of, like, being like, "No, these shoes were, like, perfectly crafted for this day, and I
Yeah.
need to, like, give them their own moment,"
Yeah,
kinda
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And same goes with, like, the invitation suite, like, the calligraphy vendor is, like, super important, and they want those flat laid shots,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, coming up an hour early to make them so beautiful. It was, like, really inspiring watching you work, and I'm really excited to implement that into my weddings
Aw.
this year.
Wait,
So
that is good because I think even just a few years ago, I've heard that exact same thing where people were just like, I don't even like doing details, like it's so dumb, blah blah blah. Like
yeah.
people were just like haters, and I know I never let that bother me because I love doing details. It's like one of my favorite parts of the day. I know other photographers that do it the day before, like they'll get all the flowers and everything, all the details that they need to do the day before so they don't have to do it the day of. And I just find it easier just to do it the day of. But yeah, I've heard the same thing about everyone. And honestly, if that's how you want to work, that's fine too. Like you don't have to do details if you don't want to.
Yeah, but again, that's not being a team player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I
it
agree.
just kind of, like, as you start shooting, like, more expensive weddings, like, that's just
Mhm.
expected, so
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And yeah, so that's I guess what else happened? Oh, I needed so usually sometimes I don't know when couples are going to have florals for their flat lays. And so what I've done in the past is now what I do, especially if the getting ready space is different than the venue,
mhm,
because I know that there probably won't be any florals at the getting ready space if it's not the same as the venue. And so what I've been doing is like bringing florals.
mhm,
I go out and buy florals to bring for the styling because, like I said, sometimes the florist doesn't, bring florals for the flat lay, or the couple has to pay in advance to do that. And so I just usually just bring my own florals for the flat lay, but thankfully this wedding, I brought my own florals. Miranda brought florals for me, and the florist actually did have some styling florals, which thank God because her florals were just like amazing, and we couldn't find like exactly what I was looking for at the store. I usually go to Trader Joe's to get florals because they're so cheap there. But yeah, so thankfully the florist made a box of florals, and it was just so nice, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, this is amazing." Because usually I have to do it. But that's something I always do for every wedding because I just don't know if they're gonna have florals, but I think I'm gonna change it in my workflow to see if they will or won't have it. So that way, if they won't, then I'll just bring my own, but if they will, then I just won't.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I don't have to like stress myself out. And yeah, so the morning went great. It was at her parents' house, and we just kind of shot the getting readies there. She was in like this really cute robe. All the bridesmaids were in robes, and I don't know, it was just like so everything went so smoothly. It was actually crazy because this wedding was kind of like jam packed, and also there were so many different locations that we had to go to. So, bride's parents' house, Miranda at like 12:30 had to go to the hotel to get some shots of the guys, and then after that it was the church, and then after that was the reception. So it was like 3 4 different locations that we had to
Mhm.
do, but it all worked out perfectly well, which
Yeah,
is
I feel like there's enough time built into the timeline to where we had time to travel and stuff,
yeah,
so
yeah, and that's also why it was like a 13-hour day for me because
yeah.
it was just so much. It didn't feel like that, but it was just a lot of like traveling and like getting to places and whatnot. But yeah, the ceremony was really cool to like watch and see how that all worked. It was really fun. And I'm trying to think of what else happened in between that. I feel like, yeah, that's it. Um, Ceremony was really good. Cocktail hour was really good. They had like a person like rolling cigars, which I thought was like
Mhm.
really cool. And then the reception. Oh my gosh. I wanna be a Greek wedding photographer. Like
I know, I'm, like, so sad that I missed like, all of the partying, but just being a part of, like, a Greek Orthodox, even the ceremony was really beautiful, and I'm glad that I got to witness that too.
Yeah, it was really, really cool to see. And so the party was just so fun. They had a band, and her dad had like the most amazing speech. I think
Oh
Steph
my
said it was like
goodness.
30
It
minutes.
was crazy. And listening to it, I'm like, "Where are we going with this?" But
Yeah.
he wrapped it up very well, and it was really sweet,
Yeah,
but
it was so good. Her parents were just, like, the nicest people ever, like, they were just, like, so smiley and just, like, happy to be there, and, so the actual party, like, when the music started and everything, the band took a break, and then that's when they started playing, like, the Greek music, and everyone was, like, in a circle, and they were, like, I don't know, they were, like, one person
Mhm.
was, like, dancing in the middle, they had, like, cups of water, and they were, like, dancing around it and, like, doing all these crazy things, putting the cup of water, like, on their forehead, and it was just so cool to, like, witness different things that I've never seen before, and yeah, it was just, like, I don't know, it was just so fun to witness, and everyone was so happy. Guests were taking photos too. Chrysanthi, my bride, sent me photos of myself that someone at her wedding took of me, and I was like, "What? This is crazy."
That's so good.
It was so fun, and just, like, all the vendors worked so well, like, there wasn't really any mishaps as far as, like, what I could see. I don't know if the planner had anything, like, happen during, like, the setup or anything, but, like, as far as we could tell, like, so smooth, like,
Mhm.
everything went so nice, it was so well planned. These were, like, my ideal clients, like,
Yes,
through and through,
I
like,
could feel that for you,
it was
yeah.
just amazing, and it was such a big wedding too. Uh, I
That was
even
probably the biggest wedding I've been at.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me you're, like, going from, like, elopements to this?
Yeah, there was, like, 300 to 400 people there,
Yeah,
like, crazy.
did you like it? Was it just kind of like
I liked it.
okay.
I think it was, like, hard to, like, walk during speeches, like, throughout the crowd, kind
Oh,
of,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just because, like, we have, like, 5 cameras on us and we're kind of bulky, um, but other than that, no, I loved it. I loved being in, like, the atmosphere and, like, because I like feeling energies, like, just feeling the collective energy of everyone is
Mhm.
really fun for me, so and sometimes you don't really get that with, like, an elopement.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is not like this yeah, that's big exciting energy
It's,
from,
like,
like, a
buzzy.
lot of
Yeah.
people. Yeah, no, that's so true. Um, I haven't had a wedding that big in a while either, so it did feel I mean, yeah, it felt good. It felt good. That's what I'll
Even at
say.
their ceremony, like, there's a lot of people.
It was like a
It was
church it was
packed.
yeah, like, it was completely packed, and I don't think I've ever seen that, and it was
No,
a pretty big church,
it
like, it
was a big
wasn't tiny.
yeah.
So, yeah, it was so crazy, but it was just so cool to witness everyone. Everyone was so happy, and we were able to get everything done that we needed to, and so after the wedding, like, I'm already on a high. People were, like, complimenting me, of course. Like, I feel like that just keeps happening at my weddings. And this year, it's just like, again, like all my experience, everything, all this stuff that I've learned. Like this year, like finally putting that all that knowledge to use. Not that I haven't before, but it's just like feels like I know what I'm doing.
It's, like,
Like
all accumulated to this
yeah,
moment,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So even the last wedding we did, I felt the same way.
Mhm.
And so I'm, like, riding a high, like, the planner was amazing, and so I'm at this point, after the wedding, the next day, the morning, I kind of, like, took it slow because I actually was not feeling
I wasn't too bad
yeah,
either.
it wasn't really too bad, like, my hand hurt a lot just from, like, I don't know, just from moving my
Mhm.
thumb and everything, so my hand was hurting, but other than that, I felt pretty good, pretty well rested, so it took the morning and the afternoon easy, and then I came home and I culled the entire wedding, and I started working on their sneak peeks, and I think we took like 7,000 photos together, which honestly is a lot less than I thought we would have taken for some reason. I thought it
Wow,
was almost going to
that's
be
a
like,
lot to me.
no, I mean, no, it is a lot. It is, but I feel like I've seen more
Mm.
from other weddings, even though it probably didn't need to be that much. And I culled it down to like 2,000. So we'll
A
see. And most of that is like a lot of details that we took too.
There were a
But I'm
lot of
gonna pick,
details.
yeah, I'm gonna cull again as I'm editing, just because, like, I know some are repeats, I just need to know, like, what works and what doesn't throughout the gallery, so I did cull it down quite a bit, 2,000 photos, but then I did the sneak peeks and oh my gosh. The sneak peeks were so
They were
good.
really
Like,
good.
I was just, like, so in love with everything. Like, everything just turned out so well, and I don't know, I'm just, like, really happy about it. And then so I send the sneak peeks out to, like, the vendors, to the couple. Of course, Chrysanthi, like, loves it, and the planner also was, like, loving it too, and she I think she DM'd me and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it was so good working with you," and we were just kind of, like, talking, and she was like, "I already want to put you, like, on my preferred vendor list ASAP," and I was just like, "Oh
Yay!
my gosh, like, what the heck? That's amazing." So that was, like, good to hear. So, like, a lot of, like, little wins came from this wedding. I think what day was it? Monday? I got, like, 3 inquiries within, like, the last, like, 3 hours in the morning, and I was like, "What is going on?" It was just like, I don't know, there was just a lot happening. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And I posted the sneak peeks on Instagram, I think on Monday, and the last post before the sneak peeks, I posted October 22nd. So it had been months and months since I posted, like, on my feed at least, and, the sneak peeks got a lot of love, which I'm glad because I hadn't posted in so long, I thought, like, "Oh my gosh, no one's gonna see this."
Oh, yeah, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah, so I was just like, "Oh my gosh, like, no one is gonna see this," just because I hadn't posted, so I just felt like Instagram would be like, "No, like,
Right.
we don't wanna push this out to anyone," but I posted the sneak peeks, but I also did, like, the collaboration. So I tagged
Mm.
or I collaborated with the planner and the florist and the bride, and so I feel like that got a lot of reach because
Mhm.
of, like, the collaboration post. And I don't think I've ever done that before, but I think it got a lot of love because it was on everyone's feed, so it did really good, and I'm really happy about that because 'cause I'm back on my Instagram game.
Yeah, you are.
And, Chrysanthi, after the wedding, the planner gave me a note that she made, and it was the sweetest note ever. Like, she wrote a note for me to give me at the end of the wedding, and it was just so sweet, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is, like, everything I've ever dreamed of, like, this is exactly what what I've worked so hard for," and she also gave me the biggest tip I've ever gotten.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it just, like, a lot of things just were happening, um, this weekend, and yesterday, I think I replied to, like, 10 inquiries that I got over the weekend.
Wow.
It was crazy, like, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel so, like I'm, like, on a high. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my ego's gonna get too big."
I love it.
So, lots of wins, lots of everything. It was just incredible. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I just feel so aligned, like, everything feels so easy, everything's flowing. I'm, like, back on Instagram. I'm really well organized too. But yeah, is there anything you wanted to talk about with the wedding? I feel like I've been talking forever now.
Oh, no. I really just wanted to, like, talk about how the mindset shift of, like, me doing details and
Okay,
stuff,
yeah.
I think
Oh,
is a
yeah.
huge thing that I have never really done, or, like, being prepared for details, and I really like that you ask for, like, um, their invitation suites, or, like, what they look like, so that you know going into it, "Okay, I can make a board with this kind of fabric that's gonna look good with their colors," and what color florals you need to buy if the
Yes.
florist isn't gonna have any for you. So just, like, being very intentional with it, I think is really cool, and I'm excited to implement that. I have a wedding in May that, um, I really like the planner and all of her vendors, so I'm gonna be really heavy on my details.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be good, and once you do it and you practice it, it just gets easier and easier, and
Mhm.
if you give your self time to do it, because if you're stressed, you're not gonna be creative. Like, if you have
Yeah.
15 minutes to do it, you're not I mean, you can do it, but it's not gonna look as good as well, honestly, it might look good, but you're just gonna be stressed out,
Yeah.
and I'd rather not be stressed out for that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's also another thing. I just make my own flat boards. What are they
Mhm.
called? Like, yeah, flat lay
Um, what are they called?
backgrounds?
Um,
I feel like they have a name, but anyways, yeah, so I make my own just from, like, fabric from Hobby Lobby and using canvases, so, I try not to do the same thing for every wedding now, just because we've all seen it, like, s some of the same backgrounds for this like, all the weddings that some photographers do, it all looks the same because it's, like, the same background, but I really try to kind of, like, match the vibe of the wedding and try to find something, like, either a pattern or a color that matches their
Yeah,
wedding specifically.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love that you do that.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, that's all I
I'm
kinda
trying to
had.
think if there was anything else with this wedding that happened. I just feel like it was just so much. I was like I was, like, overwhelmed with, like, all the gratitude and all the things, that people were, like, saying and, like, messaging me. Even the videographer was like, "Oh my gosh, I love working with you, like, hopefully we get to work together again." And that's also something that happened. He reposted my sneak peeks, and then I got a follow from someone, and then I got an inquiry immediately after from the person that followed me, and she said in her inquiry, like, "Oh, I saw that the videographer reposted you on his stories, so I needed to inquire, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "What the heck is going on?" So it just like, I don't know. The manifesting is coming together because
Yes.
I say this and it feels like, "Oh my gosh, she's like succeeding, she's winning, like bragging." But like if you would have seen me like even like a few months ago, this was not the tea. Like I was very just not in the right headspace, and I wasn't getting 10 inquiries on a weekend. Like it's only because I've been like
Yeah,
working on
putting in the work.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I talk about that in my Substack that I posted on Monday is like you could have the right strategy, you could have the best photos, but if your mindset isn't right, things aren't going to come to you as easily. And so, yeah, and it's all of this to say is I have been working on my mindset for or on my mental health for I think like probably half a year now.
Mm.
And this is like the fruits of my labor are
Mhm.
being seen right now. So this wasn't what was happening even like a few months ago. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to finally like feel aligned at peace and,
Yeah.
just feeling good.
And I feel like a similar shift in my business is happening, and I think it's because, like, for the past months, like, we've been putting in the work to
Mhm.
set up everything on the back end to where whenever inquiries do come in, like, we're easy and, like, flowing and
Yeah.
everything feels so aligned and, like,
Yes.
sparkly and, like,
Yes,
we're doing
exactly.
what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't happen overnight, like, we put in those months to make it happen.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what I wanted to say too. Like it feels like I'm just like on this high right now, but definitely like this wasn't me a few
Yeah,
months
no.
ago. Like I was definitely very depressed a year ago. And so it just like I took a lot of work or I did a lot of work on myself for the past 6 months. And so that's why I'm like finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and feeling so aligned and like just getting to work with like the clients that I love working with and just feeling so like happy and grateful, and I don't know, everything's just like connecting so well for me, and that's because I did work on myself. So I did want to talk about that too because I was like, it's just going to seem like, "Oh my gosh, she's just, succeeding. Like of course she's getting all these like amazing weddings, but that was not me. That was not me a few months ago."
Nobody knows the behind the scenes, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly, and so that's why I wanted to talk about it too, because I was just like, "Oh my gosh, it's just gonna seem like I have this amazing life, but I had to
Yeah.
work on myself."
Yeah. Well, and you know how a couple episodes ago we were talking about our workflows and, like,
Mhm.
changing things and how I was really wanting to attract more planners?
Yes.
This morning, I got an inquiry, from a planner,
Ooh,
and, like, it was just so easy the way that my workflow was already set up
I love it.
to, like, respond to her, and,
Yes.
um, it's funny because, um so I recently redid my Instagram feed
Mhm.
and just kind of was, like, archived everything that I felt like was not aligning with my ideal client, and I've been, like, hearing this kind of rule, like, spat around by a couple different photographers and videographers
Oh, okay.
talking about, like, only sharing 20% of your work, like, only 20% of your work that is, like, your ideal client and, like, not sharing everything else. Because I feel
Okay.
like a lot of times we maybe feel like we have to share from, like, every wedding.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay, yeah.
but, like, um, you could have had, like, an amazing client, an amazing wedding, but if it's not really, like, aligning with your ideal client or what you want to book in the future, you don't have to share it. So I went back and, like, I archived everything, and I've only been sharing really from only, like, 3 to 4 weddings that I have.
Okay. Yeah. I know one time I think it was last week where I looked at your Instagram and I was like, what the heck? She only has 18 posts, and I texted her immediately and I was like, "Did you archive everything?"
It's so funny because,
Because you honestly you do that a lot,
I
I feel
do,
like.
I do.
Okay.
I do that a lot because I feel like I'm always evolving and, like, I'm
Yeah,
always
I mean,
changing,
same.
and so I'm like, "Okay, if this doesn't align anymore, get rid of
Like,
it."
yeah, you're just like, "Bye." It's so
But
funny.
with literally so I don't know if it's just, like, because 'cause we're in the booking season,
Okay. Mhm.
but for, like, maybe, like, the past, like, 5 months, I have my inquiries have been very, very low in my inbox.
Same. It's
And then I literally redid my feed, and literally, like, 2 days after that, they just come flooding in, and I'm like, "Okay, that must be working, that must be, like, reflecting in what my client wants to see,"
yeah.
particularly planners.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I mean, this is my 3rd inquiry from a planner
Yeah, it's crazy, Miranda, because
since
I
I
feel
literally
like
redid it.
I'm feeling the same way, and it's not because I've been posting. To me, it almost feels like I've been working so hard on, like, trying to, like, better myself that I finally feel like my manifestations are, like, coming in because I just feel so much better, and it almost felt like I couldn't take on, like, all these inquiries and all these things, like, even just, like, a few months ago because I was feeling so down that, of course, they weren't coming because it was just like, "You can't handle it right now."
Yeah, yeah,
And so that's crazy. Okay. Yeah, we're
yeah,
kind of, like, on the same wavelength
yeah.
too. So that's amazing. And then you gotta talk about your inquiry that you just booked, right?
Yes. So,
Lots of wins.
it's lots of wins. This is definitely my ideal client, and I will say the past 3 weddings that I've booked are completely my ideal clients, like,
So good.
in the price point that I wanna be charging, like, working with planners that I wanna work with, everything. And I think those opportunities have come to me because I have said no to a lot of other things
Mhm.
that I didn't really wanna take on, or I might have felt like, "Oh, I'm not really getting a lot of inquiries right now, so I need to take
I
everything that
Okay,
comes to
I
me."
forgot something. I need to talk about something too in a second, but go on.
Yes, and so
You just reminded me.
I have been really strong in saying, like, "No." I know from a year now, if I say yes to this, a year from now, I'm gonna be like, "Ugh,
Why?
why?" And also, it's, like, taking up space for things that I really want to be shooting. So
Mhm.
I've been very good about saying no, and I think being patient,
Yes.
and, I mean, it's really scary, it's really hard
I know, it is
because you just
hard.
wanna take everything that comes to you because you're like, "Ugh, I need
Yeah, I
this is my
need
income."
this. Mhm.
But waiting it out, and I will say, like, a lot of those no's were just not in my price point, and
Mhm.
so, um, I'm really proud of myself, and,
Yes.
um, yeah, so this my most recent wedding that I just booked a couple days ago, um, it is a couple that lives in my neighborhood,
Yes, so
which the
cool.
wedding before I booked them, they also live in my
I
neighborhood,
know, which is so
which if
you.
you know me, I love my neighborhood. I live in Oak
Yes.
Cliff in Dallas, and it's, like, right by the Bishop Arts area if you don't know where Oak Cliff is. But it's just, like, so aligned, and
Yes.
it's at a venue that I've already shot at, like, 3 times, and I love it. They're having a live band. The
So good.
rehearsal dinner is gonna be at their house, which is in my neighborhood, which you know
Wow,
is my
yes.
favorite.
Yeah,
So
just walk on over.
yep.
Oh, so cool.
So I'm really excited, but all that to say, like, yeah, because I was patient and said no to a lot of things, I had that date open, and I was
Yes.
able to book it, so
Yeah. That's so good because, yeah, sometimes you do say yes to something just because you're in that scarcity mindset and you're like, "Well, I have to take it," like, and then you book it and then something else comes along, like, even just, like, a few weeks later, and you're like, "Well, I can't take that one because I already booked this other
Mhm.
wedding," so that is crazy. I got an inquiry over the weekend, and it was for, uh, I think it was, like, near Buffalo, New York, and I was gonna be at,
Oh, I
like, a
love Buffalo, New
Oh, do
York.
you?
So
I've never
pretty.
been there. It was gonna be at a country club, and so I sent them, like, my pricing and how much that would be, and I said, like, the travel fees would be, like, just, like, my flight there and a 3-night hotel stay, and then they messaged me back pretty quickly, and they were like, "Oh, well, we're really trying to stay at this budget," um, and I was just like, I just I
Can't do
just
it.
I can't do it because I'm also since it's out of state, I would have to take 4 days off
Right.
from being in Dallas, and so I just can't I don't know, it just, like I just can't make that happen.
And you've talked before about how traveling is not a priority for you.
Yeah,
You like doing local weddings. Traveling is a lot.
yeah, well, I just make more money
Yeah.
locally because I don't have to pay for anything,
Yeah.
and if I were to stay within their budget, I would have to pay for everything almost
Out of
out of
pocket.
pocket,
Yeah.
and that's just not worth it to me because honestly, I might be able to book something local and make more money, make more profit from it, so it's just like, I just don't want to.
And it's not like you're actively trying to shoot in New York all
Yeah,
the time.
exactly,
If
yeah.
that was your goal, then yeah, you would have
Yeah, if
taken
it
it,
was like a
but
location that I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't pass this up," like, yeah, I would do it, but sometimes you just gotta be like, "I want to, but I just can't. I just cannot take it on." Just because, again, like, it's 4 days, like, that's so much time, to spend away from being able to work on marketing, work on everything else that might I don't know, it just was just like, I wish I could, but I'm just not. I just can't stay within that budget, and it really is hard to do that because like you said, it's like, well, it's work, like, I need money, but who knows, a better opportunity might come.
Mhm. It always
Not a
does.
better opportunity, but
A more
something that
aligned.
more aligns with what I wanna do now, and that's staying local. I don't really care to travel right now and spend money doing that, because honestly, even with, like, them if they were to pay, like, all the travel expenses, I still feel like I have to pay for food, I have to pay for an Uber, I have to, pay extra for, like, extra luggage because all my camera gear, and so it's just, like, too much, and I don't wanna spend that much time away
It's the
for, like, one wedding that
yeah.
I don't know.
It's the unglamorous things that people don't talk about being a
Yeah.
travel wedding
Yeah,
photographer.
it's not really all that fun. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It just depends, I guess, but I just was just like, "This is a test. This is testing me right now,"
Yes.
because I would love to go over there. That would be such a cool trip, but it just wasn't I don't know, just wasn't aligned, and so it's good to just say, like, no to things that aren't aligned, and that goes back to also our horoscope and things like that. It's just, like, all our astrology was, like, just the gut feeling, you gotta you know.
Mhm.
When you know, and so, yeah, I'm glad that I kind of, like, was like, "Okay, think about this. This is testing me." My initial gut reaction said, "No, you have to, like, let this go."
Yes, I'm so glad that you are in
I kn
tune with your intuition.
I know, it's been good, so, yeah, I'm very excited to be back on Instagram. I'm also, writing on Substack about, like, my journey back on Instagram, so I'm gonna kind of, like, share what I'm doing, results, everything, so if you wanna know more about that, go on my Substack because I love seeing people's journeys, like, I love to see, like, almost like the behind the scenes of everything, so it's a really good way to see, like, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what I'm learning in the process of that,
Mhm.
so anyways.
Love
I feel
it.
like I'm talking way too much. LOL on a podcast. I'm like, I gotta stop talking.
Oh
Oh
my
my god,
goodness.
that's so funny.
Are you having any other changes in your biz?
Um, yes, so I'm working again on my workflow because I really need to tighten that up, and it's just been hard because I don't know if I should make 2 different workflows, one for planners, one for clients, or what I should do with all of that. So it's kind of been a little overwhelming, like trying to figure that out and seeing like what my clients would want because I kind of do want to be involved with my clients. I don't want to be like no contact at all because that feels weird to me. I feel like I need to at least know like a few things because all my ideal clients that I've done with planners I've always been able to, like, talk to them, see their vision, talk about their vision, and even if that's just, like, one phone call, I don't need to be, like, in their business every week.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to figure out how to communicate with planners and also my clients and kind of, like, meshing that together. So, that's what I'm changing and also just, like, my journey on Instagram. That's, like, what I'm trying to do, and again, like you said, I'm trying to bring in my ideal clients and just being very intentional with what I post, and so that's kind of like what I'm changing up to, is I'm trying to work on my workflows, which, oh my gosh, speaking of workflows, Dubsado, I just saw a video this morning. Becca from Dubsado
Okay,
messaged me. Okay.
I have been reading my emails now. Okay, you guys? I have been.
Becca from Dubsado messaged me. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but I saw that they sent an email, and in the email they had a video of like a little sneak peek of what like the interface was going to look like, and I really do think it's going to look a lot better than what it does now, just based on like the little preview that they gave us. And on Friday, they're giving people a chance to like test it out, like
Mhm.
you can sign up to test it out. So I'm
Are you doing
I'm
that?
gonna try to test it out because I really do love Dubsado, and I'm really happy that they're like changing their interface because their interface right now is fine, but it just looks a little old. And so
Mhm.
I'm glad they're like modernizing and everything. So that's really exciting. I'm so excited for that. So, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm excited for the new Dubsado
Yeah.
interface that they're doing.
Yeah.
But what are you changing?
Well, I'm copying you
Oh.
from you sent me, like, a weekly, like,
Oh, okay, I forgot that's
schedule.
what I was really changing. I forgot that was
Yes.
another thing. I just have so much in my brain. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, so much has happened within, like, the past 5 days," and I'm just like, I'm beaming. Because that's also something that's been good. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, so we're kind of scheduling out our weeks in time blocking
Mhm.
tasks, which I've always heard about. I've never really tried it myself, but I have the past 2 days, and I've really liked it.
Me too. Me too.
Yes.
It's been game changing because I almost set it up to where so that is one thing that I changed was my weekly work schedule because I never had a schedule. That's something else that I talked about in my Substack too, was like I need to schedule things or they will not get done or I'll get overwhelmed because there's so much in my brain that I'm just like thinking about that needs to get done, but I don't even have like a time to put it in because it's just
Mhm.
kind of like I wake up and then I get to my computer. I'm like, well, what should I do today? And
Mhm.
that's not a good way to run your business because especially like now that we have so many things going on, we have to kind of like be organized and know exactly what we need to prioritize. So I scheduled my weekly schedule to be just based on certain things. So like well, actually, let me look at it before I um talk about it. So like Monday's going to be like admin and podcast editing. And then Tuesday is podcast and content day because we record the podcast on Tuesdays usually. And so since I'm already like, it in already did my makeup and like have
Yeah,
a cute outfit
dressed.
on, I'm gonna record some TikToks. Wednesday is gonna be like my marketing and social media day. Thursday is gonna be more like deep work and podcasting, like touch ups to post on Friday. And then Friday is gonna be just like wrapping up things throughout the week. And so it's just been so good to just have an hourly schedule that I have dedicated time to edit the podcast, edit my photos, do social media posts, and just kind of like schedule things out just has been so helpful. And I can't believe I've never done that.
It takes away, like, the overwhelm of
Yes.
and it gives you very good clarity of, like, "Okay, I'm literally clocking into work
Hmm.
from this hour I'm doing this task and that's it. And then the next hour I'm doing this task and that's it. And I've always like split up my week to where it's like, you know, Tuesdays are editing day and like Wednesdays are like my client meeting days, but I've never done it like by the hour.
Okay, yeah.
And so that has been like really helpful because I feel like it gives me structure. And, you know, I think we've talked in the past about like having no structure and like that's what attracted us to this like entrepreneurship lifestyle. But like no structure really is very overwhelming.
It is. Yeah.
It's not very glamorous like you think it
Yeah.
is. So I really like having like the hourly schedule, which I think like anyone should do no matter what kind of business you have. You should just try it out and see if you are way more productive and if you're way less stressed out.
I'm way more productive and way less stressed out.
And I feel like you can clock out and be like, okay, I did everything I needed to do. And so when you're not working, you can actually live your life.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just not like in your brain, like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. But since now that I have that weekly schedule, I have it scheduled sometime in the week. And so I'm not having to think about when I need to do it. I know exactly when I'm going to do it because, you know, Monday's this day, Tuesday's this day, and I have it scheduled by the hour. And so it's just been so nice. I'm so glad that I did that. So yeah, that was a really big change, and I'm really happy that.
So how did you make it? Did you tell ChatGPT like?
Yeah, kind of. Well, I kind of already had one that I made a while ago in the past, but I just had it in my notes app. And then I told ChatGPT, like, how can I make this more effective and more like if I'm working on like really deep work that really needs my mental energy, to just kind of like make that one day and then like light work the other day and like social media one day, because it's almost like I just need to focus on one thing. And usually it had been like, okay, I'm going to edit and then I'm going to do social media and then I have to change and do this. And so it was just kind of like switching on and off. And that just doesn't work for me either. It kind of just like needs to flow a little bit better. And so that's kind of like what I told it to do, just kind of like make it more efficient and schedule it in a way that would like align with the podcast. And when I would need to edit the podcast, to make sure that it goes out on Friday, and like again with like scheduling my Instagram, like making that on Monday so that way I have it scheduled for the whole week. So that's kind of like what I told it to just kind of do for me. And then I just kind of like fixed it up from there.
So I'm thinking like what we could tell like people who are listening if they wanted to make a schedule for themselves, like just write down every single task that you have to get completed. For your business, and then like ask them how to like structure it for you so that you are, you know, having like one day of like deep work and like stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if you do have like either like a full-time job or you're still going to school or whatever, you have multiple things going on. It is hard to juggle, but like having it make you a schedule of like, okay, when can I do this? When can I prioritize this? It's really good too, even if you don't do this like full time. Because even I feel like I'm juggling 3 different things right now. I'm juggling the podcast, photography, and like my education business. So trust me, I know it's a little overwhelming to try to do everything. And so just having that schedule makes it so much easier, because I did tell it like on Tuesdays we record the podcast. So when would it be good to, you know, do everything else, edit and all of that stuff. So it did really help with that. And also just writing down what I needed to do. Like I really wanted to prioritize Instagram and TikTok. So I told it like, make sure this is in my schedule. And then like Fridays, it's just kind of like catch up days. So what can I do those days is like blogging or Pinterest or things that, you know, that are just a bonus that I don't have to do. It's just kind of like a little extra. And then Friday, just like catching up if I wasn't able to get everything done throughout the week. So far so good. It's only been like a week and a half that I've done it, but
yeah.
I feel so good. I feel so much better, and I just can't believe I just didn't do that in the past.
One thing I'm also changing is I'm separating my photography or my wedding and my family's into 2 separate.
I thought you already did that.
Well, on my Instagram, yes, but I still had everything like on one website.
Oh, okay.
So I'm making a whole new website for my family photography because I kind of realized that my marketing strategies are different for the 2. And so it's just a lot easier to separate them on everything.
Yeah, that's how my brain works too. That's why my education and my photography are two separate things, just because it just makes it so much easier with how my brain works. I don't know how people do both, like, or
Yeah.
like combine things together, because it's so much different to me the way that I market things too.
And I just think it was like not tainting my brand, but it was, I don't know, like the perceived value of my wedding photography. Like if you went to my website, I also made a whole new website.
Oh my God. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that too. We'll have to talk about that.
If you went on my website and you like there's like also like information on there about family sessions, and I just felt like it kind of like took away from
Yeah,
what
that's
my
kind of
client
how
was there to look at.
Yeah, that's kinda how I felt with education stuff. Like, I never felt like that fit with my wedding stuff. Like,
Mhm.
maybe it would give me a little, like, one up of like, "Oh my gosh, she does education too. She must be so, like, so smart and, like,
Like
we should bet." But,
credibility.
like, is it that important? Not
Yeah.
really. Like, to me, at least. Like, I know a lot of people do that, but to me, it just wasn't, like, it didn't make sense for me to put that together
It's
and
kind of
just, like,
just
talk about
fluff.
it. Yeah, it just, like, didn't feel right to me. I mean, it works for a lot of people. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but for me and how my brain works and like how I market and how I see things, yeah, I like to separate things too.
Mhm. And also, like, the reason why I decided to separate them was because for my marketing strategy for my family sessions, I'm using Pinterest
Yeah,
and
okay.
Instagram. And so when you click on a photo on Pinterest and it goes to my website, there's like a bunch of, yes, I had one landing page for family stuff, but you could still see
The
like
wedding.
my wedding stuff like in my like navigation and
Oh,
stuff.
okay, yeah.
And so it wasn't like very clear like this was a family photographer.
Yeah, it can get a little confusing, especially if people just don't know you and they just land on your
Mhm.
page. It can get confusing.
So that's why I was like, yes, this is okay for like my wedding clients, but I still really love my family sessions and still want that to be very prominent like work that I do. So I was like, this is kind of like lessening like the experience for my families.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I decided to just like split them and do a whole separate website for that. That way when I'm making pins on Pinterest, it can just link
Your
directly to my
family.
family stuff. There's no wedding stuff on there. So I
Okay,
think it'll be
yeah,
good.
the mind behind Miranda, which speaking of, she rebranded her whole website and she sent it to me and I was like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like, she just rebranded, guys. Like, it was
I
wild.
mean, it
So,
was like 6 months ago.
take us behind the scenes. Like, what happened? What were you thinking? Like, she did it in one day.
So this is where I really lean into my human design and I try not to feel like embarrassed or shameful because
Oh my gosh, no, you shouldn't.
I feel like sometimes people have been like, "Oh my god, like why did you just change everything?" Again, with like me redoing my Instagram all the time,
Oh
I
no,
feel
I
like
love it. I love seeing it.
some people
Yeah,
have made
people.
comments like just thinking that I'm crazy or
Oh.
and I'm like, "Just leave me alone. It works for me." You know, like you know what I mean?
Well, it's also one of those things where it's like, it's my business. Why
It's
are
my
you even
business.
yeah.
Yeah. Why are you so
Why do you
butthurt about
care?
it? Yeah.
Yeah, why do you care?
So I have been known to completely redo my brand as I'm evolving, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I think I, like I said, used to feel a lot of shame about like maybe it looking like wishy washy,
Oh,
but
yeah.
truly it's just like refining and
Yeah.
refining, and I'm getting like more refined and more refined. And because I've been like growing so much the past year, I just feel like I've been evolving very fast. And so I needed a brand to reflect those changes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's where my manifesting generator crazy comes in, where I can literally
I've done
do
that too.
a whole website in one day,
I
which I
haven't done
did.
it. Yeah, I haven't done it in a while, but I used to change my brand a lot, especially when I was living in Lubbock because I felt the same. I was like elevating so fast that I like needed to change things a lot more often. And even now I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's rebranding. I want to rebrand. I just don't have time right now, but I really, really want to. But yeah, that's so funny because I've done websites in a day. I've done like a complete
I love it.
180.
It's
Like
so
it
fun for
is really
me.
fun. Especially when you're
So,
like locked in. It just
mhm,
like gets done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm, like, in my bedroom, like, in a cave, and, like, next thing I know, 8 hours has gone by, and Ian's
Yes.
like, "Have you eaten?" Like, and then, like, I'm like, "Okay, time to go to bed," and he goes to
Yes.
bed, and I secretly pull out my laptop again, and I'm, like, working till 2 in the morning.
That is so funny.
I just get obsessed, and I can't stop until it's done.
Yeah, so what was the like, what made you just kind of, like, do it?
For the rebrand,
Uh-huh.
I just realized that my old brand, I loved it so much, I really did, and it served its purpose, and it did great, but I felt like it was not, like, representative of my personality anymore or of the personalities of, like, the clients that I'm trying to book.
Interesting, okay.
I felt like it was kind of more, um, not childish, but less serious,
Okay.
or I don't know
That's
how to
crazy
describe
because
it.
I did not feel that way.
Well, I just, like, felt like it was very, like, I don't know, I think it's also because my personal style is changing,
Yeah.
and I'm feeling more, maybe it's just because I'm gonna be 30 this year, and I'm like, I'm a woman, I'm not a little
I'm a
girl
woman.
anymore, and I feel like my old brand was just very, like,
You
t
just wanted to elevate.
yeah, to me, it just felt, like, not childish is the wrong word, but just not as sophisticated,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
and so, and also, um, like, I learned a lot about, like, copywriting the past couple months
Mhm.
and just changing my copywriting and my voice to attract a certain client, and I
Mhm.
just feel like my old copy wasn't doing that.
I see.
So, it was just a whole, like, rebrand, refresh,
Okay, I love it.
and I feel really great about it, and literally, I mean, I've been getting inquiries that have been more aligned since I did it, so
Yeah, it's crazy how
it's
that
crazy how it
works.
works.
I know, I love it so, so much. My sister yesterday was talking about how she booked a brand designer, I think, like, a month ago, and so this month she's, like, getting into the process of actually working with the brand designer, and, um, I'm just like, "Okay, well, everyone's rebranding," and I know I've been wanting to, like, change up my website and kind of, like, my branding as well, but I just don't have time right now, like, I know I could probably get it done, like, in a day, but I just kinda honestly wanna take my time with it, but I do want to do something like a refresh too because I feel like my style, everything has been changing so fast too for me, and I
Mhm.
just kind of need to keep up with that, but for now, I'll be okay.
Yeah, and you can do it,
People
like
inspire me though. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, everyone's doing it, so I wanna do it."
I know Ian, my fiancé, is a designer for other people's brands, and every time he has a new, like, project, I'm like, "Oh my god, that looks so amazing." Like, I'm
Yeah.
so jealous, and I'm like,
Yes.
"I want
I
you to do that for
know.
me."
I think someone posted, their brand new branding, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, no, stop it. Is this a sign, like, everyone's rebranding right now? Like, I need to do it." But, I I don't want to hire a graphic designer right now, but then I also know that I don't have the time to do it, so it's almost like, should I? Should I not? I don't know. We'll see. I've never hired a graphic designer either to do my website just because I do kind of have
Yeah,
the
I'm like, "You can
knowledge,
do it yourself."
but the thing with doing it myself is that it takes time away from, like, the other things that I'm doing, so it's just kind of like, I know I can't do it right now even though I really, really want to because people are doing it, and also I feel like my branding is just looking the same as everyone else's right now, and so I just kinda wanna change it because mine, I feel like oh, and also something I learned from this wedding is that I really do like weddings that are M like, indoor weddings, if that makes sense. Like, I
Mm,
used to be really, like, I loved, like, nature and things like that, but now I'm, like, really loving, like, the more editorial inside weddings, like the past 2 weddings we've done together. I've
mhm.
just, like I think that's kind of, like, what I love
Yeah,
to do.
that makes sense to me because it's just, like, that is more in aligned with, like, your personality and your personal style too.
Yeah, exactly,
I
which is
don't
so
see you,
crazy
like,
because I do love taking photos with, like, nature and trees and,
yeah.
um, what's it called? Like, pastures and things like that, well, and also I think I like it a lot because I also grew up in Lubbock, so and there's, like, nothing there except for, like, in the spring, sometimes the trees look good. And so we didn't have anything that, like, Dallas has, like, we didn't have, like, cool hotels and, like, cool churches and things like that, so it's almost like I really had to change up the style too, but I've been really loving the past 2 weddings that I've done, and so it feels more, like, editorial on brand for me
Mhm.
doing, like, the hotel and, like, the venues that are, like, more, like, indoor stuff, but I
Mhm.
also really still like the outside too. I don't know what I love. I love everything is the problem too, is, like, I love everything. So I don't know.
Well, that's what I was gonna talk about, our 2025 goals and, like, how they've been going.
Oh, yes, yes, a little
My
update.
my main goal, at the beginning of this year was to niche down into, like, residential weddings, and I feel like I still love them, I love them, but I don't, like, wanna only do that anymore.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I think my mind has been, like, open to, like, how amazing, like, the Hine wedding can be, and I, like, wanna be a part of
Step
them.
step into that, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so true, and that's kinda how I am too. I really do like doing it all. Like, I would love to do private estate wedding. I've done, private estate weddings too, and I do love, like, the nature and all of that stuff, but I really also love, like, this editorial hotel, cool vibes, so it's really hard to, like, even choose one, and I don't think I want to choose
Mhm.
one or the other. It's just, like, being able to adapt your style to both because I feel like so, like, for example, like, flash photos and, like, that very editorial style that sometimes I'll do at hotels, I probably won't do that, like, at a private estate wedding when it's, like, tented up outside, things like that. I probably won't have that same style, so just, like, trying to adapt to those styles for each wedding is I feel like is what I'm really good at too, so
Mhm.
I don't know.
And I will say I feel like, it's, like, the wrong thing to niche down for, like, I mean, it's not wrong, you can definitely niche down to just one type of wedding, but I feel like, it's better to niche down to, like, your voice and, like, how you photograph things, so, like,
Yes, mhm.
I feel like you're really good at making everything look so beautiful and elevated and gorgeous no matter what it
Oh my
is.
gosh, that's so nice.
So I feel like that's why people come to you and, like, your photos are very timeless.
Yeah.
And you can make timeless photographs in a pasture with a tent
Yes,
or at a
yes.
hotel, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, and that's so true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so, like, for me, like, I really like only doing candids. I can do candids at a private
Yeah.
estate or at a hotel.
So true.
And so but it's important to, like, know what it is that you want and use that messaging in your branding, in your copy so that your clients will understand what it is that you specialize in.
Yeah, and that also comes from experience.
It
I feel like
does.
we've been learning all this stuff just based on, like, the weddings we've been doing, the talking we've been doing, like, we wouldn't have known that, honestly, if we didn't even have the podcast, I don't think. Like, we wouldn't have talked about different things, and if you weren't at my weddings, you probably wouldn't have realized those things, so it's like
Mhm.
all this comes from experience and, like, getting yourself out there, and so if you're, like, wanting to do weddings, like, go see if you can assist or just be there for free for someone, go up to a planner, see if you can assist them, because even if you're not photographing, you'll get to know the ins and outs, and sometimes just people aren't meant to do, like, really high stress, 3 different location type weddings, and you'll know that when you get into it, like, you will know that, and so sometimes it will be like, I only wanna do elopements, and there's a lot of photographers that only do elopements on mountaintops, and that's
Mhm.
what they love to do. Me? No. You're not getting me up there, like, I'm not doing that. I would love to, and I love, like, the look of it, but that's just not something
Yeah.
that I'm like I don't have the knowledge of it, I don't know how to hike, I don't know any of that stuff, so it's just like, I know for sure that's not something that I wanna do,
Mhm.
but I love a hotel wedding,
Mhm.
and I know that I love doing that, so it's just really the experiences really give you, like, an idea of, like, "Oh, okay, I like that, or I don't like that."
So true.
And that's probably how you felt maybe about, like, that, more like I wouldn't say luxury, but more of that, like, the type of weddings that I did versus the type of weddings you were doing, like elopements and stuff. I
Mhm.
felt like how easy it can be. It doesn't have to be like super crazy or
Yeah, exactly.
intense.
Yeah, it all comes with experience.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And speaking of goals, I could we all need to look back at our goals. I feel like this
Yes.
is a good time to look back because even when we were talking about it, I was like, I don't even know where they are. It's like, where did I even put my goals? And so my goals, I definitely feel like I've been working on them. I haven't like really successfully done it all, but one of my goals was like streamlining my workflows for like a faster delivery and better client experience. And that's still something that I'm like trying to work on because, yeah, we are in this like weird in between of like trying to like work with planners and work with certain types of weddings and things like that. So I'm just trying to like gather all the information that I need to have and maybe even have like talking to planners to see like how they like to work with photographers too. So that's definitely something that I'm still working on. Blogging and posting consistently on Instagram was another goal of mine.
You're
Working on
starting
that.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're working on that. Networking, I feel like I've been doing pretty good at that. I feel like that's something that, yeah, I've been doing. And prioritizing mental health with self-care routines, definitely have been doing that. And I'm seeing the fruits of my labor from that. And then another one was strengthening relationships through gatherings, which we haven't done, but I feel like that'll be something that we can start doing like in the summer or just like in the fall
Mhm.
since
Yeah, it is only
we can't, yeah,
March.
we can't do it all in
You can't.
in 3 months, 2 months.
Yeah.
So, I feel like we're doing pretty good with all the goals. So, if you haven't looked at your goals, you should probably do that because we tend to forget. We never look we like do it in January and then we never look back at what we were like doing. So it's nice to go back and see like, "Oh, I'm on the right track," or like, "Is this leading me to my goals or have my goals changed?"
Mhm.
That's something that we can change up at any point. We can start at any point. You don't have to wait until the new year to do
No.
more goals. So just start now and look.
You don't have to wait till Monday either.
Yeah, exactly. You can start right now, guys. And so, yeah, it's nice to look back at those goals and be like, okay, I am doing that. Like I'm on the right track. You know, it's not gonna be like done in 1 week. It's gonna take a while. So that's also something that's hard to learn too. It's like you want like overnight success and overnight like things to be done and you
Doesn't
wanna be, yeah,
exist. Doesn't
exactly.
exist.
Exactly, it's just it's really hard to not want things, like, immediately, especially, we live
Mhm.
in a world where we get everything, like, instant gratification. It's hard, but, working on your goals, it might take some time, but you're working on them, so
Yeah.
it'll be fine. Something else that I wanted to talk about was, I bought new makeup things for my wedding because I'm a full beat kind of girl. I'm not a natural girly that goes to weddings like no makeup. No, I'm wearing makeup. I'm wearing makeup. I'm looking good. Not to say that that's bad or good. That's just who I am. I like to wear makeup, but I bought the Hourglass Veil primer.
Is it good?
So good. I was shocked. My makeup looked good all day. 13-hour day. It looked so good. So I used that. I used the House Labs foundation, which I've used before and I love it, and the One Size setting spray.
Yes, I've been using that because you got it for me and I love it.
Oh my god, that thing is
My
like
blush
glue.
actually stays on,
It's
like, which is crazy.
crazy. Like, it really, really works. It's waterproof too, so, like, if you're sweating at a wedding, like, it'll really help with that, and so those are my 2 makeup recommendations, like, if you like wearing makeup to your weddings, like, those, oh my gosh, I was, like, just shocked. Like, the middle of the day, I, like, looked in my car mirror and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my makeup actually looks so good." And so, yeah, I just needed to share that because those are like holy grails now. Like those are the things that I'm going to use for every wedding. And then also, I've been using Newly for my wedding outfits and I have been getting so many compliments on my wedding outfits. So, if you want to try something new or just change up your look for your weddings, definitely try Newly because I
Can we
really
talk
like it.
about shoes?
Oh, yes, yes.
Because, something that I've been noticed has been giving me the ick is, like, just wearing, like, white sneakers. when you're like at a very nice event.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you have been wearing your Coach loafers, and I got these Mary Janes from Mark Fisher, and they're so
Mm-hmm.
comfy. Like I I had a pair of Mary Janes from like Steve Madden, and they got busted. like they were bad. They were looking really
that's
sad,
so
and so I
funny.
needed to like elevate them, and I found these from Mark Fisher, and they're so comfy. There's like memory foam inside.
Yes, my Coach ones have memory foam. And
Yeah.
and I mean, I changed my shoes not midway. I changed my shoes during the party, like during
Yeah.
the dancing and everything, because I knew that's the time no one's looking at me.
Yeah.
No one's looking at me, but every time else they're looking at me.
Mhm.
And so I did change to my white sneakers for the party, like when they started dancing, like not even before the first look, or not the first look, the first dance, like I'm still in those loafers. It wasn't until everyone started dancing I changed
Everyone's
into my
dancing,
shoes.
everyone's drinking, no one's looking at you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when I changed my shoes. And I am looking to see if I can find just a different pair that look a little bit nicer than my white sneakers, because I agree that has been giving me the ick too. Just for like nicer weddings. Like, of
Yeah.
course, like some weddings, like it doesn't
Yeah, like
really
if you're in a
matter.
field, like in a country, like maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It goes back to like looking the part of like where you want to be.
Yes.
It's the same concept of like if you're going for a job interview and you want to dress the part. It's the same thing. Like even though we're sweaty and we're hauling around all this gear, we still like want to look good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also like you stick out a
Yeah.
lot with people that are like dressed to the nines. Like they're just like, they look so good, and you're just kind of like in the most casual outfit that you could find in your closet. Like that doesn't give the best look.
Even like material, like
Yes.
you might have like, okay, I need to wear a black dress because it's a wedding, but if it's like a cotton jersey dress, it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, it's just too casual.
Yeah,
like
too
you
casual.
just don't blend in as well as you think you do.
Yeah.
Just because you're wearing black. And so yeah, that's another thing. Nuuly has really elevated my style.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just wearing some like random dress that I found in my closet. It's just like I'm really, really intentional with what I've been wearing. And I really think that goes back to why the planner wanted to add me to their preferred vendor list before even seeing the photos. Like she honestly didn't even know what my photos were going to look like, but she was already like, oh my gosh, I loved working with you. And I think it's because of, first of all, yeah, of course, my attitude, the way I work, everything, but also how I present myself to these things as well. And so the first part of the day too, I wore a blazer. And then the second part, I wore like a really cute black, what would you call that?
It's like a button-down vest.
Yes, yeah. And so I wore that because I knew I would get really hot during the reception and all of that stuff, but it still looked really, really nice.
Really chic.
And it also was just like, since I was like sweating so much earlier in the day and it had already been like, I don't know, like 10 hours, like it's gonna stink a little. And so I needed to like, look a little bit cleaner, like get my party outfit on, but still look really professional. And so that's another thing I've been doing too, is changing my shoes, changing my outfit, and just having like different outfits for part of the day, which I've been learning is actually a thing that planners do as well. So yeah, it's been really elevating everything. And I think that's why I've been getting so many compliments from guests and like how I've been working. It all goes into the same thing of like how you present yourself, how you're working, and yeah, just like giving people the experience of like a lifetime. And I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm really not, guys. Like I'm not doing anything that's like, I don't know,
just
out of this
minor
world.
Little tweaks can make a big difference.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else that you had to talk about? I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
That's all I wanted to yap about.
Yeah, I think that's it for me too. Hold on, let me make sure. Oh, I have 2 TV shows that I want to recommend just to end just to end the podcast, because I love TV. So first one is Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix. That's about like a scammer. It's like a scammer story. It's not a documentary, but it's like based on an actual scam that happened, and it's based on this girl that lied about having cancer. And
I watched the first episode.
Oh, okay, and just like building an entire like brand around treating her cancer holistically. when she
She
didn't
was
have
lying.
cancer. So yeah, it's crazy. The actors are so good. I love the 2 girls that are in that show. So that's a good show. And then another show that me and Avery just finished is Paradise on Hulu. And I don't want to give too much away because I actually love going into things blind, like not
Okay.
knowing anything about it. So Paradise, it's really good if you like a thriller.
Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't
twist
heard
if
about
you like
that.
twist turns, things you can't guess, it's a good movie. Or
Okay.
not movie, TV show. Yeah, it's really good. And it has great actors too. So
Nice.
those are the 2 that I've been watching. I'm gonna wait for White Lotus to have all episodes because they
Same.
just started. But I'm trying to not watch it right now because even though I have so many shows right now that I'm watching week to week, I cannot add another one.
I'm literally the same.
Like I cannot add another one. Like Severance, I think I'm watching week to week. Traders, I'm watching week to week. What's another? RuPaul's Drag Race. Like there's just too many right now. I'm like, I just gotta wait until they're all out.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about White Lotus because I've heard it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that one as well. Because I know I'll just like want to binge it all in one
Yeah,
day.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then also, are you caught up on Traders and Severance? Anything?
I'm not caught up on Severance. I was getting there yesterday. I
Oh,
still have
okay.
one more episode. Traders, I watched that with Ian, so I'm waiting for him.
Oh, okay.
Which
Yeah.
is funny because Ian does not. Actually, I love how all of our boys are like, no, we're not watching reality TV.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we get them sat, they are sat. And I'm
I
like,
love watching it.
you like this. Like, he will never admit that he loves Love Island. He loves Love Island. He watches it with me.
Yeah, it's so
So,
funny. Yeah. Avery doesn't watch Love Island. Like he'll never watch it with me. That's like one of the shows that I watch by myself. But if I have it on and he's just kind of like around, he'll like look at the TV and just kind of watch for a
Yep.
second. I'm like, okay, yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
So I watched Traders with Ian because we started it together. So now he's like very invested.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. It's hard to not just watch it all because this season is really, really good. But I was gonna say the last episode of Severance.
Is
Oh
it
my
good?
gosh,
Okay,
it's
I'm
so
excited.
good. It's filmed so beautifully, Miranda. You
Okay.
will love it. It's so good. Like just so pretty. They changed like the coloring. And you'll see why, but it's just I just love that show because it's so intentional with every single thing they do. Even the coloring tells a story, like the way they film things and just like the different shots that they do. It's just like, oh my gosh, like I want the show to win everything. It's just so good.
Okay, I'm excited.
Oh my God, I love that show. And it's just so deep and meaningful and like there's just so much going on. But anyways, okay, that's it for today's episode. Lots of yapping and doing and just talking about our lives. But hope you enjoyed, you guys. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe because we only have 13, I think, subscribers on YouTube. I feel like we need 20. So don't forget to subscribe. But that is it for today's episode. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.